How we doing, man? Hopefully you guys had a good day yesterday, Halloween. Maybe you guys did something fun. Um, I just got to watch the Jets Texans game and lose my parlay by one leg, which was surprisingly the Texans winning. Man, I had a lot of legs going on in that parlay um, that were surprising to hit. Like Devontae Adams touchdown, he came back from the dead after being in the locker room injured, and he came back and scored a touchdown. So really shocking stuff there. But I picked the underdog, so it's kind of my own doing. But right now I'm in a paper trade. I was kind of waiting for this setup all day, but I already taken my two trades, and I was up on the day. I traded this mini market maker buy model. I really think it was clean. I just think I kind of mismanaged a little bit how I did it. We'll go over that. Obviously, I have the executions, but wanted to jump in and kind of explain this real quick. I took this 2-minute inversion. We have an SMT at this high. We're in a 4-hour imbalance on the bigger time frame, and this is kind of my bias for the entire day. My bigger bias is that we are in equilibrium of this whole range right here. Right here's 50%. I have a lot of lines, hard to see. We're in 50% of this entire move, and I want to see some sort of move lower to get these sell side targets, which is if we go like this. These sell side targets right here, I really want to see this continue to those levels. And this chart, again, we'll get off of the chart that has the trade going in a second. But one thing I want to talk about is that a way that I feel like would be cool to get to the point to be able to trade like, which I haven't yet, would be to get to the point where, look, I have my stop loss here for $165 on 5 micros, right above the 2-minute inversion. I want to see price come down to here, right? I typically would say, oh, I'd go to break even at this low. What I'm going to do instead on this trade is I'm going to take one profit, 1 micro, so that limits our risk, right? Mathematically, right? What are we doing? We're risking 16 points. If this take profit gets hit, we're risking 4 contracts for 16 points still. We don't move our stop. It gives us some wiggle room, but it decreased risk because we lock in a take profit, which is almost 30 points. Let's just say 30 points, right? So you make 30 points on one contract. You have one less contract of risk, and you're also, you don't have to move your stop. So it doesn't have to take you out for break even and then run. It can kind of wiggle its way back up and then keep going lower. So I actually really like this idea. I just don't personally implement it because I'm just not very good at managing my emotions, and I would just be stressed to hit break even / take profit 1 and let it run and go up and stop me out for a small loss. So it would just mess with my psychology. So I don't do it. But that's what we're doing currently. So you guys can kind of watch the chart live while I'm going over, what I actually did today. And if we go to our account here, we locked ourselves out after the second trade. We are up $147. So I'll just go over the trade, and then we'll kind of just talk about what I did right and wrong, obviously. Going into the day, the chart review, right, we had a pretty clear picture, right? This 4-hour chart, 4-hour fair value gap I wanted to see come into, which is where we're currently sitting at. I want to see a sweep a high, maybe an SMT, and then continue lower. So didn't play out in the morning, but it still has a chance to play out here today. And then, as you guys know, if you're keeping up with the one trade per day, Friday, we are still just comparing. And right here, the first trade was, spoiler alert, break even. The second trade was 147. So 147. So the 2 trades per day is currently outperforming one trade and done. Again, we're going to keep collecting data, but that's the hypothesis so far. That being said, right, this is the SMT, just so we have the context. Boom, right here at these highs. Right here at these highs. So anyways, going to the day, that was my clear and obvious bias, was just reaching the discount of this leg down, this 4-hour imbalance right here, hold, and then, which also massive 1 hour, maybe reach these new day gaps right here from, is that the beginning of the week? I cannot remember. 1, 2. No, I think this was the beginning of the week, so this is from a while ago, but we reached into that old gap, and then I wanted to see us continue lower. We built up all this low resistance liquidity down here. We have yesterday's low, and we have these lows here. So that was the idea behind just the overall bias, but I ended up taking along the reason for that was just because of structure, right? We had this And let me get rid of the draw lines here because there's just so many weak opening gaps right here. All these yellow lines. I'm about to get rid of these orange ones, I think, next week. But just the naked chart here. What do we see? This is discount, right? We have put in a high. We trade down. We trade into this 15-minute. I was watching this very carefully to see if my original bias was going to play out. Where we're going to start going lower. Where we're going to run through this and then see lower right now. And I was waiting. This first candle comes in, doesn't quite get the job done. The 5-minute fair value gap here doesn't quite get inverse. We come down again. We trade to this order block, this 5-minute here, this down close candle. We trade to it here. And that was the framework for my main trade. And then we still hold this 15-minute fair value gap very strong. So the idea was, I'm just going to keep the chart naked here just because it's easier. The idea was that this fair value gap right here, when it got inverse in the 5-minute, because of this order block and the inversion, that we should at least manipulate the high one more time. So that was the idea. And I'll pull up the execution, the video execution, but let's get the lipstick back on the chart. We really look into it. This is the 5-minute order block right here. Boom, 5-minute order block marked out. We get a little bit of chop work here, but we finally get displacement. Again, I was going to see this 5-minute fair value gap. Was it going to hold the price here and send us lower? I saw the displacement through. I knew that wasn't going to be the case. And I enter off of, I believe, like around here. I'm not really 100% sure. Maybe a little bit higher entry. And my stop ended up being here. I started right here. And I got in with 2 micros just because it was counter my main idea. So if I'm going to take a trade that's against my main idea, I'm going to take it with lower size, right? I think that's a given. All things considered, that's just something I will do. Would I like to risk the 200? Yeah, it would be ideal because then if the trade banks, or then you're not gonna make as much. But that was my idea. My extended take profit, I didn't really have a target for it. I was just gonna target 50 points. Just keep it nice and simple, which would have hit. So I just want to target 50 points. It's $100. It would have just been nice. 50-point trade. A 50-point trade is more than you even need to succeed in trading. And it's kind of just like, if I'm going to hold take profit, right, I'll just hold the 50 points. It's just right above. It should just poke above that high. So that was the idea there. And now I'll pull up the video and I'll kind of go over what happened and what was going through my mind, because I'm very happy with how I managed to trade here. And I'll talk about the psychology that was going through my head in this specific spot right here. I was very, very aware of my thoughts, and I like, because of that, I think I learned a lot and grew a lot today as a trader, because of the thoughts I was having during this trade. It ended up being around 21 minutes, I guess. And after the trade ended, I was very, very frustrated with the trade not hitting take profit, because I ended up moving my first take profit this new day opening gap low, just because I was like, you know what, it's on my chart. Let me use it as a take profit, because I feel like I don't really use these gaps that much besides just kind of like added confidence. So I was like, you know what, sometimes the micro chart's a little bit off from the main chart. So let me just, get a take profit here based off of that new day gap, just in case it does fail to take the high out in reverse. So we end up going with, we don't go with 3. I don't know what changed my mind, but I kind of sit here. The 5-minute closes right here. I'm kind of like, yo, let me see if we just dump from, I was pointing on my, in real life. If we dump from this fair value gap I had marked out instantly, like if this 5-minute close here and just rips lower, then I don't want to be in the trade. So I was kind of giving it a second, which is hesitation. It's not just because of some magical strategy that, it's going to help my trading. It's really just hesitation, nervousness in the trade. I'm like, yeah, do I like this? And I'm like, okay, I like this enough. I'm going to drop the 2 micros, so I make sure I'm not risking more than 200. And I'm just going to chill on this. And, I don't want to take it with 3 contracts and be super stressed out, or 4 contracts or whatever, and risk 200. And I give myself a wide stop. I'm risking 155, right? I'm going to move that around because that's just kind of like a safety net while I'm figuring out what I want to do. I was like, this is a good break-even point. Why? This is a 1-minute fair value gap here, and I just don't think we should have hesitation at that point. And honestly, it's against my overall bias. So again, I'm going to be a lot more protective. I'm going to be a lot more whatever when it doesn't fit my entire narrative for the day. So that's what I do. So I want to go through what was happening in my mind during this drawdown here, because a lot was racing through my mind here. We put in a 2-minute order block. So I'm like, okay, that was cool. We had a little bit of retracement. Now we got an order block. Okay, this should be good. So my mind here, I was still pretty calm. I moved my stop to the bottom of the 5-minute, and I was considering moving my stop loss to this low, because I was like, oh, we have an order block. We're going to use that to send price higher. Now I can only risk 70 was my mind. But then I decided against it because it just was like, you know what, it's just too tight when it started coming down. I then put it back to here, and this is where I kind of settle on. But at this point, I'm thinking, great, another, and this is the mindset that I was in during this trade. I was great, another loss, another thing, just another not that good setup. Something that I knew was against my overall bias, like all these negative things, and the trade itself off the order block, right? Look at these bodies. I mean, this is perfectly off the order block. We get displacement higher. We inverse fair value gap. We have a higher high that we can target. This is a solid trade. But I was telling myself all these negative things of, man, this is just another bad trade. It's just not going to work. I just can't be consistent. I win some, I lose some, all this stuff. I should just close it here for an $80 loss. I should just whatever. I should just wait for a re-entry. I should just get out here. It's probably going to go lower. It's probably going to inverse this gap here. I'm definitely not going to make it here. It's definitely not going to work. It's going to take like a miracle to reverse here. And then I was like, okay, we rebalance to the CE of this fair value gap. Maybe I should just move my stop to this low because this should be the last rebalance. Like this is the final straw. And I was considering, I was like, okay, maybe I'm just going to move my stop here and just take a stop out because, if it hits this low, then this fair value gap doesn't matter anymore, I guess, in my head, and that's just going to run lower. And I was really happy with how I managed this because, I was not stressed. I wasn't like stressed because it was right here. It would have taken me out if I did that. So I ended up just marking out this 1 minute, keeping it simple. And I was like, okay, we need to inverse this. But again, in my mind, I wasn't stressed because it was like $120. It was more just like, like, are we really going to take a loss? Are we really going to just chip away at our profits that we have? And are we really, like, is this really going to happen? That was kind of my mindset, like, is this really going to happen? Am I really going to take another loss? Like, then what do I do if I get a short setup? Am I going to feel like I'm just FOMOing? Like, what's going to happen here? Like, I was just expecting the worst. I was telling myself negative things. I was thinking negative things. I was just expecting negative things. And it doesn't really change much, I don't think. Like, who knows the way the universe actually works? Maybe your thoughts really do. But there's someone that was in a short thinking positive things, and it didn't play out for them, right? So maybe your thoughts really do. I don't think they impact the market in that sense, but they definitely impact your decisions. So maybe they do impact the market with your actual like trading. Maybe the market goes your way because you think positively. I don't know if that's true. I don't think it's true, but maybe it is, right? I'm not going to say it's impossible. I sat back, but what it does do is if you speak negatively, you're going to trade negatively. You're going to do things that are, fear-based. You're going to move your stop to places that aren't logical because of fear. You're going to say, it's probably not going to work, so I should just get here to cut the loss. Like, I should just put my stop at this low. And at this point, this is not good to put my stop at this low. In a few seconds, I allow it, right? And I'll explain why. So at this point, I'm like, okay, like now I'm starting to rationalize myself. We're starting to hold CE of the 1 minute. We're starting to kind of have rejections there. Maybe we're going to kind of get another push. Like, we're not just going to get a straight move up. What time is it right now? 11:10. It was the end of the macro for the 11:10 macro. And I was like, okay, I want to see something. I'm just going to accept if it loses. I'd rather lose 120 than try and close it early for a $100 loss or like an $80 loss. Like, what's the extra $40? I'm in the trade. It could work. It looks all right. It rebounds to a 5 minute. Let's see what happens. And at this point, I'm very happy. And I'm still thinking, like, do I just close it when it goes break even? These are real thoughts. These are real emotions I have. I was like, should I just close it when it goes break even? And at this point, I'm like, okay, no, I'm not just going to close it when it goes break even. And then I put my take profit at the $200 because that's 50 points for each micro. I'm like, okay, I'm not just going to go break even if it goes there. But I didn't like this close. It kind of closed, like, kind of weak in my opinion. I was like, bro, just why does it have to stall here? And I was just telling myself scary thoughts. Like, I was like, oh man, this is not gonna work, whatever. And I should just close if it gets to break even. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a lot more satisfied with myself if I don't just close the trade and I let it play out after the drawdown and succeed and win. I'll be so much happier. And I'm even happy that this one ended break even because I'm still happy with what I did. And then I moved my stop to that low now because it was CE of the 1 minute. We did spend a lot of time rebalancing. We got displacement higher. We're holding a 15 second. I don't mind the move there. That's not a very emotional decision. I was just checking to see how much that would be if we closed really high above. I didn't move it there. And yeah, I'm fine with this stop loss movement because $90 now. It really shouldn't go back down there. I'm probably fine getting stopped out there if it turtle sleeps that low and keeps going higher. It is what it is. But that is a non-emotional move of my stop loss. I'm happy with that. We then get the 1 minute inversion. And I'm like, bet this looks good. And now I'm happy with it. But again, you just sit through drawdown, so now your head's still scared. It's like, oh my gosh, like, oh, well, look, we just stooped the high and now we're just reversing. Like, you tell yourself all the reasons why you should get out instead of believing all the things that tell you to get in the trade. So again, happy with how I managed that position, but I was just very nervous. I was incredibly nervous. Move my stop now to that fair value gap entry because we spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times rebalancing there. Maybe that's aggressive, but it just mitigates risk, eases my mind a little bit, and especially when we get the order block here, I think I was like, yeah, okay, cool. This thing looks good. If it comes down, gets me. It comes down, gets me. What can you do about it? So that's what I was thinking during that part of the drawdown, which is where I think I struggle the most with my trading is during drawdown, and then I struggle the most right when I start getting into profit. Right when the move starts looking decent, I start getting hyper. Can I get a break even? Can I get a break even? Where can I go break even? And today I was here. I was like, okay, how can I get to break even on this trade? I was like, even typing out break even. I was like, if we hit this high, I'll go break even. And it's just kind of like a mind solving, when you're fearful, it's like, okay, I can get to break even here. It's going to solve all my problems. I can't lose. And it just eases your mind. It's like, oh, I can't lose. I can't lose. I need to get a break even because then it means I can't lose. And it kind of just is a pacifier for your emotions. And that's what I am trying my hardest to work through. You can see my mouse on the flat and all position. Just not sure why. And then we soar up through here. I go to break even. This isn't the worst break even ever because we have displacement through the order block. The order block holds on this candle. We get displacement, get a volume balance, right? I don't think I should be at break even yet. When do I think I am allowed to go to break even? When we inverse this last 1 minute gap, which we get in about 30 seconds. So we inverse this gap here with a really strong candle. I go to break even. I think my break even's fine then and there. I move my take profit to this blue line. I'm like, bet we're about to hit it. We have a little bit of stalling. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Whatever. Don't love to see it, but it's whatever. We start getting this, and I'm like, stressed, bro. Or I almost put my take profit this high, and I was like, you know what? Let me get rewarded for holding my trade. That's what what I thought. I was like, oh, let me just get rewarded. And I think I move it. I'm like, okay, if it comes back up that high, maybe I just take the profit. And I think I get it. Yeah, move it down to this high. I'm like, oh, let me just. But then I was like, you know what? That's just emotional. It's not going to really do anything for me in the long run. If it hits that high, it's probably going to hit higher and keep going. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm not going to do that. And then we do get the run on the high here. And we don't run this high. We're a few points away. And I'm like, but we're still holding this 1 minute. Nothing, no red flags too much. It's just a little bit of an inconvenience, right? That's what I was thinking. And the trade just keeps stalling. And I'm just like, bro, not really doing anything to it. But I'm like, bro, I'm just looking at every imbalance. I'm like, dude, this 1 minute, please hold. This 2 minute, please hold. This 5 minute order block, please hold. Please be a shallow tap. Like, I'm trying anything to just be like, these lines I draw on my chart, these fair value gaps don't mean anything in real life. Like, they don't mean anything. But you're trying to put, it's like you're trying to become like a dang, like, philosopher. Like, oh, this is it. Okay, this is the line in the sand. This is the last place we need. And unfortunately, it just stopped me out, and I'm just so upset when it stopped. Because especially after this move, I'm like, okay, bet. We just reversed from this spot down here. We're chilling now. I move my stop, and then this candle comes in. Probably should have just left it there but that's fine. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to get scared. I'm going to leave my stop at as low as possible underneath these down close candles. That's the line in the sand for me. I'd rather just not make $30 and it run higher, and I'd rather just be break even, right? And I did not love this candle, but it was just like, bro, what is happening? And it ends up stopping me out break even, and I'm just I'm upset at this point because super close to TP1. I'm upset. I'm tilted, and that's an emotion I have to start battling through because I was frustrated. Stops me at break even in like 2 seconds. Let's see what my face looks like, bro. I was upset, man. Comes down, stops me at break even. I'm like roll my eyes, bro. Start saying some stuff. And at that point, I'm just like, bro, what is this, dude? Like, how is this even possible? And then let's get on the trade here we got going on. So now we've locked in a little bit. We're just going to go break even because who cares? We're just going to close this trade, I believe. We'll just leave at break even and just remember to flatten those positions. But anyways, the second trade I ended up taking was because of was because when I look back, I was like, yo, we have the 5-minute inverse. We have this fair value gap right here. Boom, we have this 5-minute fair value gap inside of the inverse. And we have this order block here. And we got a really strong reaction. So my exact idea was after we got this strong reaction off the 5-minute order block and we got this displacement, when I saw this fair value gap, I'm like, okay, I'm entering back in this. That was a tilted decision. It's not a good decision. It's not how you're supposed to trade, but it is what I did. And I don't even hate, like it's not good. It's not good psychology, but I don't hate it because it's just like, I think the mistake was just moving my stop loss to break even. But again, when it goes within 1 point, it's like, is there really a problem with that? I get in and instantly I'm just negative on this trade, which I was just like, again, telling myself all the mental negative stuff like, oh, we're going to lose. Like this sucks. We're going to lose. It's not going to work. And then I was like, okay, I didn't put in a stop. I was just going to close it if we just ran through this imbalance. I'm just closing the trade. I'm just getting out. I'm done with it, whatever. And we start getting some movement early, and I'm like, okay, like this is a chase, but it follows like a lot of reasoning, right? Like there's a lot of reasoning behind it. And I move my stop loss to break even really early. Again, what do I talk about? Whenever I make one mistake, I make multiple mistakes. So it's already a bad trade because it's just a little bit, it's just impulsive. It's basically just because I knew my first idea was good and it had more context now. So I get in and I'm now, let's just say it was like, whatever. I get in the trade, we're impulsive, and I throw myself into the trade. But if I'm going to throw myself into the trade, don't just throw my stop at break even because it's just really bad RR, right? Like, let's say this stop trade just stops you at break even. But the times that you get in this trade and just instantly reverse and you lose $50, $100, $200 just because you wanted to get into the marketplace, it is just not really rational. It's not really something that makes sense. And then I was like, dude, but I got to break even because in my mind it's, oh, if I'm getting into a dumb trade in terms of just impulsive, right? I don't think the trade idea was wrong, but it's like higher up in the move, bad fill, whatever, all these different things. If I'm getting into an impulsive trade, I'm not letting myself lose, or I'm going to try my hardest not to lose. Again, it's bad psychology, it's bad risk management, all these different things. But in my head, I'm like, yo, you're already doing dumb stuff. You're already trying to get in, force a move. Calm down, right? If you get lucky, you're going to make some money. If not, I was going to lock my account. Regardless of the outcome of this trade, I was like, I recognize, okay, this is bad. It's not good. The trade itself, again, is not horrible, but it's just throwing my stop loss at break even after the first 15-second close in my favor is just crazy. So I was like, okay, I'm done with that. I've got to chill here. I'm done for the day, so let me just try and manage this. As long as I don't lose, it's fine. I'm just going to keep my stop break even. And I hold through this trade. I'm going to kind of speed through it. And I was like, I ended up moving my stop loss to like $4 in profit because I was like, okay, I'm giving this as much space as humanly possible that I can't lose on. We come down. We hold this tiny imbalance. I mean, it's a miracle that I got this if we're just being real. I made $140 off this trade, so good thing that it happened for us. We put in this order block, and now I'm like really happy because I'm like, oh, it's definitely going to go higher. And then we make this, I think this became a breakaway gap. Yeah, breakaway gap with another order block. I mean, I was like, okay, cool. This trade's working. And let's see the take profits get hit. Just for the culture here, I was like, you know what? I really want this blue line. It gets the blue line for me. I'm like, bet. And then we get the second take profit. I'm like, even more happy. And at this point, we've only made $80, but it just felt good getting that target. And again, there's a lot of psychology things I got to work on and improve on that, but happy with that. And then I end up just flattening position because, again, my overall bias is to actually go lower here. We had the SMT. I'm like, yo, I'm just closing this. I'm not going to hold. We're not going to hit yesterday's high. It's a Friday. Like, we've already moved so much up. Like, what am I doing here? Let me just close this. Let me just actualize a decent day. And that's what we did. So we brought the account to 579. And sadly, that's not part of the last month. It doesn't really matter. But this week, we ended negative 151. Just really bad. Monday, we lost an extra 300, so that would put us actually positive 150. But, you know, it doesn't matter, right? It does not matter at all. And, yeah, that was the two trades. That's what I did. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What did I do right? I recognized good price action. I was patient, right? In the morning, the first trade I took on paper, why my paper account is up so much, is because I ended up taking a pretty solid setup. I mean, I wouldn't take this personally, and this is another motion I was wrestling with. I got in on this 2-minute inversion off open. We had an SMT at the low right here. We have the inversion fair value gap. I get in long here, stop below this low, or close back below. First TP, these highs, and then just leave runners. I didn't leave runners because demo, and I just, when I'm leaving runners, I'm thinking more about the runners than actually the chart, and maybe I get a real setup or a setup that I want to take. But this price was really clean, and specifically on the 15-second, I believe. Yeah, right here was super clean because we end up getting a little bit chop, holding the 2-minute, getting displacement, holding the fair value gap, getting an order block, and running higher. So this trade was solid. That's how I ended up banking on the day early. And I think that move made more sense because we needed a rebalance from this big sell-off yesterday. We needed some sort of rebalance on this entire move. And off open, we had the SMT. And then displaced higher. So I really like that trade. The reason for me not taking it is because simply it was just literally 2 minutes off open. We also trade back down to this order block right here, or this order block here if you'd rather, and then we trade higher and leave gaps. So this was a very good day, long day off open. Again, literally 9:32 when that candle closed. I wasn't feeling it like that. But yeah, the trade works out really well. And yeah, happy with that. But again, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? I'm happy today that when I saw this trade happen, I didn't just say, yo, like where's the next step? Where's the next step? I wanted shorts because I wanted that to happen, right? I wanted price to go higher to then go lower. So why am I going to FOMO longs here to get to the fair value gap when I'm trying to see it come up here anyways to then go lower? So it's like, it's a double-edged sword. It's like, why would you FOMO into something in the opposite direction of what you want to see? So I was like, okay, I want to see this 4 hour anyways. We get into the 4 hour right here, and then we just run up higher and higher and higher, and it's just nothing you can do. So I'm very happy that I was patient and sat through this and didn't just chase shorts because, oh, I'm bearish. I want to see this. I want to see us go to the 4 hour. I want to go lower. And yeah, technically, if you got in on this inversion right here, it would have yielded you some profits, and you would have been in a big move. But where are you targeting? How are you targeting? Like this, just chase. This is the first inverse. But I'm happy I didn't just go, oh, I'm bearish, I'm just going to short the first bearish sign I can get. And then I still was able to recognize, okay, we're bouncing off this order block. We swept this tiny low here. We're probably going to come back up and manipulate this high if we inverse this 5 minute. The 5 minute was going to give me the narrative. If we reverse from this 5 minute lower, I'm taking shorts. If we go higher, I'm going higher, right? And I managed this. This buy model was just very solid. I think I did well with this mini market maker buy model. And I'm happy with that, right? It doesn't have to go with your bias as long as you have good context and you trade well. So we're really happy with that. That's what I think I did well. Again, what I did wrong, the easy choice is just the psychology errors of just jumping back into the trade. Could I have kept my stop at underneath these lows? Of course. I could have kept my stop at this low here and risking like 60, 70 bucks. Hindsight, that would have worked better. But, in reality, I don't know. When it goes really close to your take profit and reverses, it's just always just hard. So maybe journal that, kind of work on that. And that's just really my critiques for today. And just happy with how the day went. But was actually pretty frustrated. So, yeah, let's just sweat this last little bit of this trade. But yeah, man, I mean, happy with the week, right? Thought I got a lot better. And just want to keep improving, man. I want to keep improving. I want to keep doing better. I want to just keep getting better and really start making strides. I'm feeling as most confident as I've ever been. The one thing is just that it feels like when I do the negative self-talk, it's just because I haven't won enough. I haven't hit my take profits enough. I haven't done all these things enough times to where it's like locked into my brain that I am good at this. I know what I'm looking for. All these positive things that if you are in drawdown, you're like, yo, I mean, I've seen this before. I've got out of this before. It doesn't even matter if it does lose. Oh, look at this. This gap's holding. This looks good. I want to be able to feed positivity, but I'm so fearful and so bad at it right now that I feed myself negative. So that's the one thing I really need to get better at is just trusting myself. I have a lot of knowledge. I know what I'm looking for. I'm good at trading. I need to let myself perform at my best of my abilities, and it's really hard when you put psychological fear and pressure and anxiety onto your trading because it just never needs to be that way, right? It never needs to be psychologically stressful, and you never have to be scared if you know what you're doing. So, and I know what I'm doing. At least I like to think I do. So unfortunately, I just need, or not unfortunately, but I just got to work on that. And yeah, we'll keep getting better every single day. So I appreciate all the people that watch these videos. Like I always say, I might make a video this weekend, but who knows? But yeah, I mean, do I got anything else? No, I don't got anything else. Appreciate all the support. I hope you guys have a good day. Do something fun this weekend. And yeah, peace.